This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV Profit.
Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV Profit. This is Business Primetime, 30 minutes of the top business stories of the day. We start with our headlines, and the delayed and lower than expected monsoons might be impacting the economy in detail. We bring you a report. Super Infi man Nandan Nilekani is called up by the government for the National ID Card project. Will relinquish his Infi board seat. And those frequent flyer miles from Jet could finally mean something internationally as it gets ready to join One Alliance. Rainfall a concern for the economy this year. The Indian Met Department has predicted that the rainfall this year will be 93% of the long period average or LPA compared to previous forecasts of 96%. And regionally too, there's cause for some concern as the northwest region is supposed to get 81% of the LPA average. How will the lower rainfall impact the economy? We put together a crack team of reporters who bring you these details. We have Ashu Sharma, Saudamani Mattu and Ira Duggal to tell us a bit about the monsoons and the economy as well as its impact on specific sectors. Here it is.
It's been a hot, dry summer so far, and that definitely isn't good news for the economy. The current projection is that you'd see rainfall at 93% of the long period average, which would hit the economy. The estimate being put out by economists is that you would see a 1% shave off in GDP if monsoon remains below normal. Yes, the agricultural sector is not as important to the economy as it was once, but 18% of the GDP still comes from agriculture. More importantly, 60% of the population is dependent on agriculture for income. So the impact will definitely be there. Impact also on prices of agricultural commodities at this stage. If you see lower output, you will see prices of items like pulses and sugarcane start to rise, and that at a time, of course, when consumer price inflation is already high. The good news is that at least in terms of the staples like rice and wheat, we have surplus stock, so there won't be pressure there, but the overall pricing picture could start to be a little bit under pressure. Also under pressure will be corporates who depend on rural incomes for their takeaways, and that's something that Ashu Sharma is highlighting for us.
Thanks, Ira. Of course, on the FMCG space, that's a big sector that may face the biggest brunt as far as the delay or a lower monsoon this year is concerned. 40% of the contribution to sales comes from rural India, and of course that's a big concern out there. But if you look at that particular segment, soaps and detergents also form a significant chunk. So therefore, that's a big area of concern as far as the FMCG index is concerned. From there on, we move on to the agri-commodity space. There, of course, the plantation as far as the oil seeds and maize has already been delayed. But of course, on the sugar front, the prices are at a 3-year high. So this all boils down to pricing power as far as the agri-commodity companies are concerned. But for more on consumer durables and what it means for auto, it's off to Saudamani.
Thanks, Ashu. Well, a bad and weak monsoon. Definitely bad news coming in for the auto and consumable section. Interestingly, if you look at the auto industry, it's a twofold impact. The first being a direct impact on tractor sales, with demands definitely expected to fall, hurting majors like Mahindra and Mahindra. Secondary impact would also come in on players like the two-wheeler players, of course, where discretionary spend would come out and hit their sales figure. Don't forget, anywhere between 50 to 60% of the two-wheeler sales come from the rural income. Interestingly, even the consumer durable space is expected to take a knock. As rural income falls, most people would put off any sort of big budget acquisitions coming in that space, definitely again hitting the bottom lines of all these companies. But with so much depending on these monsoons, one can only hope that the gods smile upon us and let the showers down soon.
God should smile upon the economy too, which would be impacted by the monsoon. Let's see how it turns out this season. And we move on now and talk about an important government initiative. We're talking about the National ID Card project. Over 1 billion unique IDs for every citizen of India. Well, at least that's a plan. And the man pulled up for this job, for this top position in this project, is none other than Nandan Nilekani, the former co-chairman of Infosys. And now that this is a cabinet rank, he will have to give up his board seat going ahead. Here's a bit on the big national program and the man to lead it.
Nandan Nilekani is all set to begin his second innings, this time in public service. And who better to head one of the country's most ambitious project, the Unique Identification Authority, than the poster boy of the Indian IT industry. This project plans to provide over 1 billion people with a unique ID, and the government plans to issue the cards from 2011.
The unique ID authority will give each individual a unique ID. The system will also, I think, make provision for biometric identification.
For the IT industry, this project would also mean a $2 billion opportunity. And Infosys is also expected to be a major bidder for the project, which has raised questions of possible conflict of interest with Nilekani heading the project. But the man himself is quite clear that transparency will be the key.
Whatever procurement is done for this will be done with the highest standards of transparency, integrity, openness. And even if there's a slightest hint of a conflict of interest, I will recuse myself from that decision soon.
But considering the complexity of mapping over 1 billion people, will this project take off? Or will it just end up to be yet another identity card like ration card, passport or the PAN card? So while biometric identification may address those concerns, implementation would be the key, with little clarity on the political consensus to such a massive project.
Indian citizens live in 600,000 villages, right? And we have to reach every one of them out, right? Their own identity has to be established, verified, and so on.
For Nandan Nilekani, this project is not going to be an easy ride because there's no political consensus over large vote bank areas spread across the border regions. So while Nilekani's appointment brings the power of information technology to the government, it will actually be a test of the government's character and willpower to enforce the project. In New Delhi, Varun Sinha, NDTV Profit.
Nandan Nilekani pulled in for the National Identity Card project, a big one too, with 1 billion people and 6 lakh villages. But the question that emerges now is that with his absence as Infosys, what will happen to this company as well as to the sector? A number of reactions have come out. Here's our story on Nilekani leaving Infosys and the future for Infi.
No one can match Nandan Nilekani's magic fingers. His finesse turned Infosys into a global heritage brand and a client's delight. He's logging out of Infosys after almost 3 decades to join the government, leaving a void behind.
You feel sorrow that a colleague who has been with the company for the last 30 years, I've known Nandan even more than 30 years. We started at Padni Computers way back in '79. So somebody is leaving the company. But on the other side, there is pride also that somebody from Infosys has been given this responsibility to take on a challenging assignment for the country.
Not just Nilekani, Narayan Murthy and Mohandas Pai are also away from day-to-day operations of the company. Infosys is finding itself at crossroads without its most seasoned leaders, especially at a time when the world economy has nosedived.
The company has depth of leadership. The company has enough people so that we can manage this transition as we have managed other transitions also.
The new line of leadership has a tightrope to walk at Infosys. Whether Infosys will retain its status of a top-notch company and grow in face of challenging times, the current leadership will be tested with fire. The phase 2 in the life of Infosys has just begun. With Mokshita Batra in Bangalore, in Mumbai, Tuhina Pandey for NDTV Profit.
Okay, the Securities and Exchange Board of India has indeed been extremely active over the past several months, what with the Satyam saga and a number of other items that are unfolding. In a latest development, the company Pyramid Saimira is now in trouble with the SEBI. To tell us a bit more on this development, Ragini Verma is joining us, Deepika Thapliyal is joining us from Mumbai. Deepika, thanks for joining us. It looks like 5 Pyramid Saimira employees have been, stopped from trading in the securities market by the SEBI. Please fill us in on the details.
Yes, Mihir, it looks like Pyramid Saimira's tryst with the law doesn't seem to end, with the regulator at least doesn't seem to end. Today the regulator banned 5 of its employees for making unlawful gains during the IPO. What the regulator has said that these employees joined the company for 4-6 months with the sole intent of receiving shares under the IPO allotment, and as soon as the company was listed, within a few days they exited the company, making a gain of over 2 crore rupees. So the regulator has banned these employees for a period period of 3 years from the stock market, and they have said that if they don't return the gains with added 20% interest, they will ban them for another 7 years. Another very interesting point to note that in the order, SEBI has mentioned that these employees worked in collusion with the company. This leaves a lot for us to actually think about, and puts a lot into perspective that SEBI is actually looking at the kind of corporate governance norms that were followed in Pyramid Saimira as early as 2006.
Tablial, thanks very much for that update. Some corporate stories in this segment. We've got lots more coming up on Business Primetime, on macroeconomics, on the markets, and more. Stay with us.
Business Primetime, brought to you by LIC of India, Future Group, India Tomorrow, and Accenture Consulting, technology outsourcing. Accenture, high performance delivered.
Welcome to this very special interaction with the man who's in charge of what a lot of people say is the long-term policy making of the country, bolder decisions. The mandate allows you to do that, doesn't it? In some ways, you could probably take a bit tougher stand on issues like deregulation of fuel prices.
We need to explain to people the rationality of what we're doing. And I mean, not taking the decisions doesn't actually prove to be costless. There aren't that many soft options, and some things just have to be done. And you know, they're not that difficult to do.
Say yes to growth. Yes Bank.
Tata Motors Score a Century offer. Buy a Tata card, get cash benefits up to Rs 40,000 and win scratch card gifts of up to Rs 1 lakh. Rush to your nearest Tata Motors showroom.
Presenting the HP EliteBook 2530P Notebook PC. Powered by Intel Centrino 2 with Wipro technology. Dare to take the EliteBook challenge. SMS ELITE to 56767.
Changing the way, India holiday.
Mahindra Holidays and Resorts India Limited, a Mahindra Group company, now offers a public issue of 92,65,275 equity shares of 10 rupees each for cash at a premium. The 100% book-built issue is being offered in a price band of 275 to 325 rupees per equity share. Issue opens 23rd June, closes 26th June. For risk factors and more details, refer to the red herring prospectus, available on the websites of the company, Global Coordinator and Book Running Lead Manager and other lead managers.
When it's important, India turns to us. NDTV Profit.
You're watching Business Primetime. Let's talk a bit about the markets. After 13 weeks of sustained gains, there just does not seem to be a clear picture emerging over the past couple of weeks. The Sensex and the Nifty seesawing today. The Sensex down about 0.53%, with some selling coming in the auto and oil and gas sectors. And if you talk about the Nifty too, not much of a change yesterday up, today down 1.1% for the day. A lot of action though sectorally and stocks specifically. Namrata Brad tracks the markets in detail, and here she is to tell us a bit more.
One of the most subdued settlement as we bid due to the June series. Half of the build-up that we saw in May as we head into July at 2.2 crores, and the lowest rollover seen in years. So trading was choppy, not a big range, but nonetheless a negative closing coming through as well. Most of Asia and global markets, remember, were upbeat on FOMC comments coming in. The belief is that rates continue to be low for some time, and quantitative easing plan continues in terms of Fed's asset purchases of both mortgage-backed securities as well as treasuries at this stage. Commodities as well were higher. Now, in India's stance, oil and gas was the big loser thanks to ONGC, and then the monsoon impact, which is below normal, came in and started haunting some sentiment. The direct hits are autos, particularly two-wheelers and CVs, and